They're not located around here at Augsburg, Germany.
Near Munich.
It was a German aircraft factory where they were building Messerschmitt. So we flew all the way down there and we found that target. Now there were 21 ships in our formation. 7 in the lead squadron, 7 in the low squadron, 7 in the high squadron. So that was our group formation. There were group after group going down there to bomb that target. So here we got down there, got on a bomb run into the target, and we were in heavy flak. And so we dropped, all of the airplanes were still flying in our group when we got to the target. We dropped, all 21 of us dropped at the same time. Our bombs came out, not in a big clump, but in what we called a string, one after the other. So they were released. There was a timer that was set up here in the nose by the bombardier on how fast they came out. When we're bombing an aircraft factory, they came out a little farther apart because that determined how they hit, and an aircraft factory is big. There are a lot of buildings, runways, taxiways, parking areas. We wanted to get the whole thing. So all of our group on the bomb run got to the target. 21 of us were still flying, dropped our bombs, and 3 of our airplanes went down right there over the target. Everybody got hit. So as we left there, again in heavy flak, getting out there, the 18 of us, my little ball turret called out. He said, "We got oil running off the wing behind number 1. I said, "Oh, how fast is it running?" He said, "Well, it's not a gusher, but it's a steady stream of oil running out the wing behind number 1. I said, "Okay." So I kept that engine running. Now that gave us 4 engines, and I could stay in formation on the way back. So along the way, we had to divert around a big storm. And the diversion took us right over a German airfield. Not a good place to be. The flak was intense and very accurate. All of us took a lot of hits. As we left that spot, my little ball gunner called out, "We have 2 gushers. Number 2 and number 3 are gushing oil." Now, I had a co-pilot I'd never flown with before. I was the aircraft commander by then. And so I said, "Top turret, get out of the top turret and stand right here." He was my flight engineer. I had flown a lot of missions with him, and I knew he was good. So I said, "Stand right here and watch those oil pressures." There was room between my seat and the co-pilot's seat for him to stand right here. Oil pressures, there was 2 gauges on there, one for 1 and 2, one for 3 and 4. And I said, "If you see, we have 3 engines leaking, 2 of them are gushers. If you see any oil pressure going down on the gauge, hit the feather button right now. Don't ask any questions. Feather button. About the size of a $50, and there was 1 for each engine, and they were bright red. So there was only that bright red thing on the panel. If you hit that button, it was a switch that started a pump in the very bottom of the engine oil tank and pumped oil at high pressure to the shiny part of the prop, that prop dome, and made the prop plates go to the feather position, which then I could shut that engine down and it would sit still. So he said, "I got it. Watch the oil pressures." So about 4 minutes after we left there, an arm came over my shoulder and hit number 2 feather button. Number 2 is that one. And the prop feathered and I shut the engine down. Now I neglected to mention number 2 engine manifold. There was an area that where a little warm air was pumped off of there and blown into the cockpit to defrost our windshield. The minute I shut that engine down, no more warm air, and the whole cockpit frosted out. It was 40 below zero outside. So now I couldn't see out to fly formation. I couldn't see the other airplane. So I knew I had to get out of there without running into somebody. So there were no airplanes above me. So what I did was just raise up and back out. Now I'm a single airplane in enemy territory, crippled. And that's what the fighters love to pick on, a single cripple. So luckily for us, no fighters attacked us. So we have one engine feathered and shut down. And he, in about 4 or 5 more minutes, he hit the feather button for number 3, and it was too late. We had lost too much engine oil. There was not enough left in the tank to feather the prop. So here's what happened. The feather pump tried to feather the prop, but no oil. So here's what was happening. That prop was going around, making the pistons go in and out without oil. And it took about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes for that engine to become red hot, and it seized. It just stopped. And the prop was going with such force that it, in that little nose section, there's the reduction gears. It tore them all apart, and now the prop is no longer connected to the engine. It's out here spinning. The engine I shut down. The prop is spinning because I'm pushing it through the air. So it's like a barn door on this side of the airplane that I'm having to push through the air. So here we are. Number 1 is leaking oil all the way from the target. We're about 3 hours away now at this point. Number 2 is shut down and the feathered, prop feathered. Number 3, the engine's shut down, but the prop is no longer connected to the engine. It's spinning. Number 4 was a good engine, and we're still in enemy territory. Not very good shape. I had 2 engines running, one of them leaking oil all the way from the target. So I had the crew ready. I said, here's what's going to happen, guys. If we're over land, I will bail you out. So I want everybody to make sure that you have your parachute closed. Our parachute was a chest pack, and it was too bulky to wear and work. We had the harness on, all cinched up, ready to go, but we had to pick up the chute and snap it on to 2 D-rings right here, and then we could bail out. So I had everybody get their chute where they knew where it was and had it handy. I said, over land, I'll bail you out. There was a bell I could ring, a big switch here on my panel. If I hit that switch, it rang the bailout bell throughout the airplane. That meant go. Get out, get your chute, and go. The airplane is going down. So everybody understood. And I said, if we're over water, I will not bail the crew out. I will land in the water. The airplane landed well in the water. It's hung together. And it landed, and then we had 2 big rafts, 6-man raft, that we could deploy and get in. The crew could get in while the airplane was mumbling around it. It floated a little bit before it went down. So we could get into the rafts and hopefully be rescued. if I bailed everybody out over water, here's what would happen. We all had flotation gear. It was called a May West. And it had a tab on each side. You pulled those two, and a CO2 bottle went off inside and inflated it. So if you were in the water, it held your head up out of the water. So if I bailed everybody out over the water, there would be 10 little heads floating around out there, and we're all going to die. That water was cold, and this was in the spring of 1944. So I said, I will not bail you out over water. I'll land the airplane and we'll get into the rafts and hopefully be rescued. And so everybody knew what was going to happen. I was gradually descending to keep my airspeed up, but I was pretty slow getting back to England. I got back there after the other guys that had more engines beat me back there. And so when I got within sight of the airfield, they were circling the airfield and going into their final approach. There was a procedure when you got home. If you had wounded on board, you shot a red flare. If you had mechanical difficulties, you shot a green flare. So they were all shooting flares. Looked like they were having a Christmas celebration. Red and green flares were flying all over the place. And so by the time I got there, most of those guys had got on the ground. I had to make one circle of the airfield on my 2 engines. And then I got on the final approach. I got on the final approach, and I had 2 engines running and 1 engine windmilling. So I deliberately carried a little bit of extra speed down the final, because if it started to settle, I wouldn't have the power to pick it up. So I wanted to make sure I got to the runway. Okay, I got to the runway, got it on the runway, got it all settled, and I hit the brakes, and there weren't any. No brakes. I pumped on the pedals, nothing. So now, I was going 80 miles an hour when I got it all settled down. That was my airspeed on the runway. And so I'm slowing down a little bit just due to friction. But I only had about a mile of runway left, and I wasn't going to slow down enough to turn off at the end. So here's what was going to happen. I'd get to the end of the runway, and across here, beyond the runway, there was a taxi strip, which was just a little wider than an airplane. So I'm going across, down off the runway, across the taxi strip, and then there was dirt, and it went down a little slope, and down there was the boneyard for our base. That's where they took the wrecks to salvage parts off of them. And I was going to go there if I didn't do something. I didn't want to go there to the boneyard in this wreck. It was a wreck, all right, but I didn't want to go there while I was still in it. So I got pretty close to the end, and I made the airplane groundless. I put full power on number 1 and made it turn to the right, off of the runway, into the good old English mud. Thank God for English mud. Then grabbed that airplane and stopped it very quickly.
Colonel, I think
rolled not very far.
we have a couple visitors that like a book signed before they leave.
Yeah, I saw one.
And here's another one.
So, yeah, I'll get your book for you. Okay.
So while he's signing these books, let me mention to you people that this particular airplane never saw combat. It came off the assembly line, Burbank, California, in July of 1945, one of the last 45 that we built. They didn't need it in the Atlantic because the war was already over. They didn't want it in the Pacific, because by then they had B-29